Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the December 9th Board of Selectmen meeting, both virtual and in person again. And it's the first board meeting of the new term. So with that, I'd like to again welcome our new colleague, Janet Stone McGuigan, who I feel like we've been working together for months now. We're at so many events together, but we're looking forward to a really successful term and lots of good things to come. So as usual, we will start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. All right, we have second on the agenda is the approval of minutes for the regular meeting of November 23rd, 2021. Is there a motion to approve?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Fred Camillo will second. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Okay. And since our new colleague was not here, that's the reason why she's not voting on this one. Okay.
I think that's, okay,
Yes.
just for the record.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, yes, I abstain.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the board minutes for the special meeting of November 23rd, 2021?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
Fred Camillo will second that. All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Okay, thank you. With that, as we normally do, at the beginning of each meeting, we do updates on what we're doing and what's going to happen, and maybe even updating on our committee assignments and liaison assignments. So I will start off as usual. We had the swearing in, of course, last week, and it was at the Teen Center. It was a very nice night, and I want to thank everybody who put that together, especially Barbara. It was very nice, and lots of people, even the new mayor of Stanford commented how nice it was. We had a bunch of holiday events. We had the tree lighting here last Friday. We had Old Greenwich first light on Saturday. We had the menorah lighting on Sunday. We may even be doing an Advent wreath at some point later next week. We had the United Way Forum yesterday, nice and early. And lots of other. Last night we also had the League of Women Voters event, which was lots of fun. We learned a lot about each other. Maybe some things we didn't want to know, but we found out. Other things, the budget season's underway, so that's taking up a lot of everybody's time right now, but we are making progress on that. Parks and Rec, just want to make a note, they will be partnering Neighbor to Neighbor to host a food drive for the holiday season, so keep an eye out for that. COVID update, it's pretty static, same as it's been for a while. I think it was yesterday, everybody in there was unvaccinated in the hospital. So again, what we're seeing is even the dominant strain is still Delta, and it looks like Omicron, the Omicron variant. While it is getting through to people who are vaccinated, the symptoms are very mild, which is good. That suggests that the vaccine is working. And again, just a plea to everybody to, if you haven't been vaccinated, and most of us have, thankfully in the town, to really consider doing that. It's for your own protection as well as those who are close to you. But we will monitor everything. Everything is temporary, and we will get through this again. We're told this is going to be a rough period with the cold weather, so we're just, as I tell everybody, bring your mask with you. Most businesses don't require it. Some do, and it's the ones that do, you put it on while you're in there, and then you take it off when you leave. So it's not a big inconvenience. And again, if it comforts people, I think we owe that to our friends and neighbors. A special thank you to Community Projects Funds for the lights on Greenwich Avenue. I got back from New Jersey on Thanksgiving night, and we went up and down, and especially Sebastian Dossman, who went up on the poles for each, I think it was 36 stations. He tried to get me up there, but being afraid of heights, I was not taking him up on it, not having any part of it. But it was fun to walk up and down the avenue. So thank you. It looks great, and it looks great in Costco. And I know Old Greenwich is trying to get some things going there too, so looking forward to that. And lastly, the Board of Selectmen meetings, we will adjust our schedules in the coming months to see if we can get out and about to hold some of these meetings in the community. The idea right now is to go to the neighborhood associations like Northeast Greenwich, Round Hill, Byram Neighborhood Association, and maybe have the meetings when they're having them in their buildings early, and they can come to ours, and then we can hang around and see what's going on in their part of the town. So looking forward to that, but we'll adjust it as we go along. So with that, I'll turn it over to Selectwoman Rabin for her updates.
Thanks, Fred, and welcome, Janet, to your first official meeting. And as Fred mentioned, yes, we've been feeling like we've worked together for a while. We've had a lot going on in the past couple of weeks. I'll keep my update brief. Tonight, the Reimagine Committee is promoting the fact that many of our merchants on Greenwich Avenue are going to be open late so that you can visit them, and there's certain giveaways and sales and things of that nature. So enjoy walking on Greenwich Avenue, seeing the lights that Fred just mentioned, and shopping locally and eating and dining locally as well. We do have a number of interviews that we need to start to complete for the Citizens Review Board. Those are starting today, so I know we have a number of applicants that have applied. If anyone's interested, we're still, getting the nomination forms, and we're going to pick up the pace on the Housing Trust Fund Committee. We have that on our agenda today, as well as some of the expiration of terms for the March 31st timeframe. So we're going to start that season of interviews again.
Thank you, Lauren. And good morning, Janet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Our swearing in was a really lovely night. So I again want to thank everyone who participated and organized and attended. It was wonderful. I said then, and I'm going to say again, I'm looking forward to serving Greenwich with the two of you. And my door is always open. I also said that I plan to meet with people and schedule as many trainings as my days will allow, and I have hit the ground running. So with that, a few reflections and then my reports. I'm going to echo the events that you mentioned were wonderful, and I'm looking forward to tonight. I hope everyone can come out and enjoy our neighborhood's festivities. In preparing for the swearing in, I missed Giving Tuesday. So it's not too late. I have opened my checkbook, and I welcome everyone to join me in supporting your local charities. This giving season is often very critical for our local nonprofits. And finally, on the topic of giving, the American Red Cross is in need. So if you are able to give the gift of life, please do. Now for my reports. I've taken co-chair responsibilities for the Sustainability Committee from Jill Oberlander, whom I want to thank for her excellent leadership. I am thrilled that she is going to continue on the committee. The committee has asked that I make a request for professional staffing in this year's budget to support its mission. And I'd like to extend that request to include the Energy Management Advisory Committee. Because there's so much synergy between the two committees, it would be optimal if the supporting staff were involved with both. And I see that Peter Schweinfurth is here, who's the chair of EMAC, and I'm sure he'll agree that this is an investment that will pay for itself. I would love to add to the list of neighborhoods that if we can, as a board, get out and have dialogue with. I'd just like to add to that list, let's add our youngest residents, our students, so that they have a chance to ask the selectmen any questions they might have. And then finally, I did attend Tuesday's planning and zoning meeting, where there was a request from the community that the MIs for the Rink, Vincy Gardens, and Thomas Lyon House might be combined. And my understanding is that the RTM Land Use Committee has formally made this request. So I would just like to say that I would support that the board follow up as appropriate. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you. Okay, going on to old business, we have with us Margarita Albin. I think she's probably virtual because I don't. Okay, and while we're waiting for Margarita, this is a second read on the Greenwich Affordable Housing Trust Fund that we took up before, something that originally came to the town in 1988. So we're happy to finally be getting this done on the second try. And we'll wait for Margarita to come on momentarily.
Hi, guys.
Morning,
I'm
Margarita.
here. Hello, hello.
How are you?
Hi. This, what is the second read that's before you now is actually the declaration of trust for the Affordable Housing Fund. When the RTM approved the Affordable Housing Ordinance, the Trust Fund Ordinance on the 27th of September, the ordinance contained a provision that within 90 days we had to submit to the RTM a declaration of trust, which in plain English is just more operational detail on how the ordinance would function and how the trust is going to be implemented. You saw this at a previous meeting, and since then we have made one change, which is that Select Person Oberlander had suggested we add a provision for the Board of Trustee members to be trained in affordable housing. We thought this was a great idea and have included that. It's consistent with state statute, which actually requires that Planning and Zoning Commission members and Zoning Board of Appeal members also be trained routinely. And we must submit to the state per the new act what we've done in terms of training. So we put that in, and the only other changes, I'll say plural, is a whole bunch of Scribner's errors, typos that Amina found. I believe she's been unable to join us as she had a conflicting meeting, but Amina did a lot of cleanup, just little stuff, and that's it. So it's before you. We would then submit it. I believe, Fred, that you are the submitter, but I would be the proponent. We then submit it. If you were to approve it, we would submit it to the RTM. I have to do it by December 23rd, which is the deadline, and then it would go to the RTM in January. Once we've done that, we could finally receive money. I had thought we could receive money earlier, but apparently not. Also, while I'm chatting with you on the topic of money, as you all know, we requested that the trust be considered for ARPA money, for American Rescue Plan Act money. And the reason for this was that there is some money that is earmarked for affordable housing, and we thought it would be appropriate for the trust to receive it. I got some emails with pushback about that, saying we'd said we would only take private contributions. What in fact we had said to everyone is we will not be diverting municipal funds to the trust. However, we would be applying for grants and available funds to support affordable housing. So this is still consistent with what we had originally stated. There is no intent to divert any municipal funds. And with that, I'm done.
Well, thank you.
Anything?
Thank you for all your work on this, and I concur. You did say that in exactly that fashion, so I'm glad you cleared that up. And Amina has joined us. Thank you for.
Hi, Amina.
She says hi. Thank you for your work with this. I have no questions. I don't know if my colleagues do or any comments before we vote. Or okay, looks like we are set to go. Is there a motion on the floor?
So Lauren Rabin, I motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the declaration of trust for the Greenwich Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
I second.
All those in favor? Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much. Before I go, just so you know, SNAC is working on nominations for the Board of Trustees. P&Z has nominated Bob Barilak to be the P&Z representative on the board. It would be the chair or the designee. We have designated Bob Barilak because member of P&Z because he has enormous experience in affordable housing, and SNAC is working on the rest, and we are also working on the advisory committee. So you will hear more from us soon. Thanks again, folks.
Thank you. Good choice with Bob. Thank you. Thanks, Amina. Okay, we go to new business now, and we have our town administrator and COO, Ben Branyan, here to speak about the neighbor-to-neighbor lease renewal of 1 Horseneck Lane.
Good morning, everyone. I believe I have Margaret Goldberg from the Executive Director from Neighbor Neighbor joining via Zoom. She should be in the weight room. The item before you is to request approval for neighbor-to-neighbor lease renewal at 1 Horseneck Lane for their final term for 2 additional months with an expiration date of March 31st, 2022. We were before you in October for their first renewal term. As the email from Margaret explained, to some of the, just as abundance of caution with entering the winter season and some potential building delays, just would like to get the approval out of the way through March 31st, 2022. And the town that is not having any impact on the town. There's no immediate need for the use of that facility. So we would recommend the approval through the final term would be 2 months through March 31st, 2022.
Thank you, Ben. I just wanted to throw this out there because I know there was a few people who just mentioned some concern, including a former board member up here, about the ultimately taking this down. But I will mention that this has been a great asset to the town. It's enabled us to get some projects done and to place some facilities there. And really didn't hinder anything. It's not the nicest looking structure, and certainly it's not going to be there forever. But I wouldn't be too much in a rush, until we're done with this, hopefully this extension, to see where we are with anything else. But the goal is to get that out of there, as soon as we can. But this has really been extremely helpful. And once it goes, and we want to, if we needed something else like we did with the fire station or with neighbor to neighbor, we'd have really a hard time finding something. So it has really worked well for the town. So I just wanted to throw that out there in case somebody's watching out there and is questioning this again. But I support this, but certainly would want to open it up to my colleagues for questions and comments.
Margaret.
Yes.
Hi. I'll wait till Fred's done. Margaret.
Margarita has her hand up.
Yes, and Margarita, are you one of those ones that has a concern about this?
I'm not a concern. I just wanted to say that one of the options that we gave, that the P&Z gave when the Horseneck lease was proposed to us initially, we said, hey, this building keeps being, we had conditioned that it be taken down, but if the town wants to keep it, what if you turned it, we don't need the parking, what if you turned it into something beautiful and permanent? It's just unattractive right now. It's built to be temporary, but it might not take that much to make it an asset for the town, a long-term asset. And we had suggested that to the town as an option. We would be willing to lift the condition, but the problem is right now, we're keeping something that looks like a Quonset hut and was built to be temporary. But hey, if it's a long-term asset, we were open to turning it into one.
Yes, and we have discussed that, and something that more permanent.
Over and out.
Yeah, something more permanent that could house things that looks a heck of a lot better than what's there now. You had another description for it on another occasion that was appropriate. So we're in total agreement. If we are looking at some things offline to propose to the town for that area that could accommodate it, that would look a heck of a lot better than what's there now. But it has served its purpose up to now. That was my point. But thank you. I appreciate that. And any questions?
No questions.
Janet Stone McWigan, I just want to take the opportunity to say thank you to Neighbor, and I am looking forward to visiting you in your new location.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. So This is a first read. Are we comfortable enough to have a vote on this? I mean, I certainly am. Okay, is there a motion?
Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the neighbor-to-neighbor lease renewal of 1 Horseneck Lane for the last and final term of 2 months with an expiration date of March 31st, 2022.
I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes?
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, Ben, thank you so much. Okay, going on to the second item, new business, we have the proposed 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule, which I mentioned before, we can adjust, but to get us off and running, Barbara Hines is going to present.
Yes, this is the proposed schedule, and given the fact that we will be allowed to basically prior to every meeting, that's been noted in the schedule and not given any.
Yes, thank you. We'll have to monitor that, what comes down from Hartford, but thank you for putting that together, Barb. It's a lot harder than it looks. Seems easy, but it's not with all the holidays and everything. So thank you. Is there a motion to accept the proposed schedule?
Lauren Rabin, I motion that we approve the proposed 2022 Board of Selectmen meeting schedule.
I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes?
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Barbara. So next, we're going up to item C of new business, which is to increase the membership of SNAC, and we have Selectwoman Lauren Rabin with that.
Thank you. As liaison to the Selectmen's Nomination Advisory Committee, we have added a number of boards, committees, and commissions over the past 2 years, 3 in particular in 2021, and we have a finite membership, and it's been an increase on the existing SNAC members to have more committees to search and recruit talent for. So our strategy is to increase the membership by 2 so that each member would actually only be responsible for recruiting and finding talent for 2 boards, commissions, or committees. And the total membership would be 13 members, meaning 10 for recruitment for our 20 boards, commissions, and committees. There is 1 chair who has been doing double duty, 1 secretary who keeps all the electronic, there's a lot to keep track of, and then we have 1 ex officio.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Certainly makes sense to increase it by 2 for the reasons you stated. I see no reason why to delay it anymore, so I'm open for a vote if my colleagues are. So with the motion on the floor.
So Lauren Rabin, I motion that we increase membership of the Selectmen's Nomination Advisory Committee to 13 members.
I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes?
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Okay, thank you. And next up, we have the approval of the town to participate in a national opioid settlement. And we have Assistant Town Attorney Valerie Mace Keeney with us, I think virtually. We don't. Okay. Okay. Tyler Fairburn. What we can do is we can certainly put this off to this 23rd. Oh, nice to meet you. How are you? Just in time. Well, thank you. We're just discussing about to discuss the town's participation in the opioid settlement. So did you want to?
Yes, I can get started. I know Valerie from the law department is also going to be joining us.
Yeah, we're waiting. I don't. Okay, yeah, we could start, and then hopefully she can be able to join us.
Thank you. I'll provide some general information. Here we go. I'll provide some general information regarding overdose rates related to opioid overdoses in Greenwich. So for 2018, first I'm going to give you information regarding by resident city. So in 2018, we had no overdose deaths. In 2019, we had 3. In 2020, we had 8 opioid-related overdose deaths. And then the Department of Health also provides us with information related to by injury location. So this data is related to if the overdose occurred in Greenwich. So in 2018, there was 1 death. In 2019, there were 4. And in 2020, there were 6. So I know these seem like very low numbers to you compared to what's happening around the country, but for us, we can see a clear increase in the number of overdose deaths related to opioid use. And there was a recent bulletin that came out related to fentanyl, and I know we've heard about it being mixed into cocaine and to also benzodiazepines, but this new announcement came out and a warning related to it being mixed into marijuana. So we have individuals that don't even know that they could be at risk, that are at risk for overdose. So what Valerie is going to present to you is a little bit more information about the opioid settlement and what we found out thus far. We'll be finding out more information as time comes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that. Good morning.
Good morning, Valerie.
Good morning to the new member. Very great to meet you, member. Good morning, Selectwoman Rabin and First Selectman Camillo. I had a hearing that I was just concluding. I apologize for the delay. These are 2 settlements. One settlement is with distributors of opioids, McKesson, Cardinal Health, and Amerisource Bergen. The other is with a manufacturer of opioids, Janssen Pharmaceuticals, and its parent company, Johnson & Johnson. So those are the only entities involved. The town has no claims with respect to any of those entities pending at the moment. However, we would be participating as a member of the class, and certain monies then would come to the state of Connecticut and ultimately to the town and other municipalities through these settlements. The state is anxious to have as many municipalities sign on as possible because that means there will be more money flowing to the states and to municipalities, assuming that the settlements are finalized. And so the degree of funding available to all states and municipalities depends on how many participate. And of course, if the town doesn't participate, it wouldn't receive any funding, or if it participates later, it would receive less funding. So there are monies that will be paid over 18 years in this settlement, some money sooner rather than later. It's a lot of money. Connecticut anticipates that it would be $300 million, but over 18 years, but the actual settle amount over the whole nation is much greater than that. So what the town would have to do would be executing these releases of claims with respect to these entities, both Janssen and then to the distributors, and then there would be participation, and that deadline is January 5th. So in a nutshell, that is the nature of these settlements, and so we need the board's authority to participate in those.
Well, thank you. I know it says that the state can receive up to $300 million, and municipalities who choose to participate will receive 15%. But if all 169 municipalities want to participate, how would we be able to get 15%? And would we be judged against other towns and municipalities that may have a more significant problem than our town has?
Yes, they already have certain percentages that actually Commissioner Nelson and I have looked at, and Greenwich's is 1.56% under the distributor settlement.
That's with everybody.
So there's certain more populous areas with more issues in this respect will receive, I think it's based on population, a higher percentage, but we have looked at Greenwich's percentage and it appears to be reasonable.
It does. And I was going to say The number is based on population, the number of overdose deaths, and the number of individuals diagnosed with opioid use disorder. So the overall amount is $300 million, and then 15% of that will be allocated and distributed throughout all of the municipalities. And then there's the additional calculation of that 1.56 of that 15% that will come to us.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much.
And we're not talking about millions of dollars in the end of the town by any means. In terms of mechanics, the way it will work is I would be asking the first selectman to sign off with the board's approval. I put a resolution into the memo for the board, and then the first selectman would be signing off on those participation forms. Then ultimately, we'll receive 2 settlement packages, and then we'll go through that process, which you would also be signing off on eventually when we get that. There is a committee that's being chaired by the mayor of Waterbury, and they will have certain guidance that will be provided by the end of the month about distributing funds, et cetera. And we'll get that to you.
Thank you, and it's the advice of town council that the town does participate as well as human services.
Yes, yes.
Well, I'm okay with this. I don't know if my colleagues want to have any questions or comments or.
I was just going to ask, is there any downside to not participating? Does it preclude us from entering it into any legal action, on our own?
Absolutely, it does preclude that. Yes, there can be no action against these particular entities if we participate in this settlement. Absolutely not. That would be precluded.
The town?
Yes, the town could not have its own action against any of these entities, or if it does, it would be dealt with according to the very detailed settlement that has been worked out here. So we would be the town is waiving all claims against these particular entities in order to participate in this settlement.
And if there is an individual does it hurt an individual's ability to establish a claim knowing that the town is precluded from doing so?
You're talking about an individual resident?
Yes.
Yeah, this doesn't deal with, we're only dealing with the town's rights here, the municipality's rights, and that's all that we would be affecting in this regard. I would have to study whether I don't think there's any effect on individuals, but that's not something that was within our purview at the moment.
Yeah, that was my point of clarification. I would worry if we did something that may or may not adversely impact an individual resident from, filing a suit if they saw fit to do that. But it's your opinion that this would not affect that.
What I will do is study that, analyze that issue in particular after this meeting, and if there's an issue with that, I will come back to the board and discuss that with you and advise you accordingly if I feel that there's a right of an individual would be affected.
That would be great for my comfort level, and I think my colleagues too, if we could just hold off and we'll vote on this in 2
Absolutely.
weeks, just to get clarification on that one point.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay. I don't see anything else on the agenda unless we have anything else that somebody wants to bring up for discussion. If not, I want to thank everybody who attended virtually and in person. Peter, thank you. And Town Attorney Barbara Schellenberg. And last but not least, the faithful reporter from the Greenwich Time.
That's okay, least is fine.
Mr. Ken Borsick. Anyway, thank you, Jenny. Thank you, GCTE. Thank you, Barbara. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Lauren Rabin, so moved.
I second.
All those in favor, Fred Camillo's a yes.
Lauren Rabin, yes.
Janet Stone McWigan, yes.
Thanks and have a great day.